For the sake of my phone, I hope this video is not as controversial as the last one I made. I mean, my phone was literally blowing up. There are like 75,000 notifications. Like, what the? What's up, everybody? First things first, no, I did not swear there. And thank you for all of the support on the last video. And thank you to those who stated their opinions, even if they were negative. I appreciate you at least telling me what you thought of the video. It gives me feedback, and I very much appreciate all of the comments from that video. And with that, this video will basically just be me saying what I think the best players are from every single NFL team going into this year. We will go division by division, and with that, let's get into it. Cincinnati Bengals, Joe Burrow. With the Bengals, their success as shown last year live or dies by how Joe Burrow performs, or he either does not or does stay healthy. And I think that will be the same thing in 2024. If he stays healthy, they are a legitimate Super Bowl contender. If he goes down with another injury, then they are practically doomed to fail. And for me, I personally think that he is unquestionably the best player on that Bengals team. Baltimore Ravens, Lamar Jackson. As shown by the Bengals in the last entry, this team also lives or dies by its quarterback. Lamar Jackson's mobility also adds an extra sense of they need to keep him upright and healthy, as he is even more open to injury than Burrow is. But he is, like Burrow, on top of his game. They are a legitimate Super Bowl contender, as long as they can get by KC. Pittsburgh Steelers, TJ Watt. With the Steelers, they live and die by their top player as well, but not in the sense as the Ravens and Bengals do. TJ Watt is a defensive lineman, and he is a centerpiece of that defensive line. And without TJ Watt, that defense would absolutely fall apart. And they would just not be the same unit without TJ Watt. And it's proved by 2022, 2023 even, to some degree. And TJ Watt is just a superstar, and there's no other way to put it. Cleveland Browns, Myles Garrett. With Myles Garrett, he doesn't quite carry the Browns like TJ Watt, Joe Burrow, and Lamar Jackson do, but he is without a doubt one of the best defensive linemen in the league, as shown by he literally won Defensive Player of the Year this year. Myles Garrett has been everything the Browns could have wanted since coming into the league in 2017. He has been an absolute force, and he will continue to be a force as long as his prime continues to go on. Houston Texans, CJ Stroud. For the Texans, you could say that picking Stroud as the best player for this team is a little bit too early, but in my opinion, Stroud is the best player on that Texans team. And you could argue that Diggs is the best player, but Diggs, we don't know if he's not out of his prime yet, and he could be out of his prime now. He has some character issues as well, and CJ Stroud is just overall such a fun player to watch, and he was unquestionably the best player on the Texans last year, as he won Offensive Rookie of the Year, and I expect that this team is only going to go up from here. Indianapolis Colts, Michael Pittman Jr. I think for the Colts, they have not a lot of proven talent on that roster. Sure, Josh Downs was pretty good last year, but Michael Pittman is unquestionably better than Downs at this point in time, and we don't know what the Colts have in Richardson. So I would say that Michael Pittman is the best receiver, as he's been super consistent over the last couple years. Jacksonville Jaguars, Josh Allen, the linebacker. I said the linebacker because, of course, we're going to get to another Josh Allen later on this list. But Josh Allen, the linebacker, is one of the best defensive players in the league right now. And he has been ever since joining a league in 2018 or 19. And that contract he got this offseason was well-deserved. Tennessee Titans, Jeffrey Simmons. it feels so weird to me not being able to say Derrick Henry and then moving on. I mean, he has been the icon of the Tennessee Titans for the last 5 to 10 years. But Jeffrey Simmons is now the best player on that Titans team, and it doesn't seem like that's going to be changing, at least for the next year at least. And Jeffrey Simmons is probably one of the best inside defensive tackles in the league. Buffalo Bills, Josh Allen. This is really easy. Josh Allen is unquestionably the best player on that Bills team, especially with Diggs now gone. Josh Allen is going to have to do a lot of the heavy lifting in order to get that Bills team to the playoffs, but I think he will absolutely do that because he is unquestionably a top 5 quarterback in this league. Miami Dolphins, Tyreek Hill. The Miami Dolphins rely on Tyreek Hill so much, and he is undoubtedly Tua's go-to weapon. And it's evident by the fact that he was at some point in the season on pace for 2,000 yards, a single season record. And at some point in the season, they had broken the yardage record set by the greatest show on turf for yards in a certain number of games. I don't know when that was, but it was impressive to say the very least, and a lot of that yardage came from Hill. New York Jets, Garrett Wilson. You could argue that Sauce Gardner is the better player, but personally, I would say that Garrett Wilson has been more consistent than Sauce Gardner. At least, Sauce Gardner wasn't quite as good as Garrett Wilson was this past year. And although they were both great in their rookie years, Garrett Wilson stayed about the same level he was last year, if not better, whereas Sauce Gardner regressed, but not too much. And I would personally just say that Garrett Wilson is just the better player all around and the better fit for Aaron Rodgers. New England Patriots. Oh, this is tragic. Christian Gonzalez. It's so sad to me that this is the Patriots' best player, because Christian Gonzalez only played 4 games last year. And I expect that May will be the best player on this team in short time. But for now, Gonzalez is, in my opinion, the most talented player on that team. And there's not much to say. Let's just get this out of the way. Kansas City Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes. 3-time Super Bowl champion, 2-time league MVP, 3-time Super Bowl MVP, you get the point. Las Vegas Raiders, Max Crosby. Max Crosby is, in my opinion, the best Raiders player because Devontae Adams, in my opinion, took a step back, and Max Crosby had the highest QB pressure rate, I think, in the NFL. Maybe behind Aiden Hutchinson, but I don't know. And he's just a super, super good player, and yeah, he's going to be a force on that Raiders team for years to come. Los Angeles Chargers, Justin Herbert. This is really easy. Justin Herbert has been the best player on the Chargers since joining the team in 2020. He's set multiple franchise records, rookie records, some of which were broken by Stroud later, but you get the point. He is a superstar and will continue to be a superstar for as long as he is on the Chargers. Denver Broncos, Patrick Surtain II. Patrick Surtain II has been the top cornerback of this Broncos team ever since joining the team in 2021, and he has been a top 5 corner in the league for 3 years now, and it doesn't seem like it's changing as the Broncos have picked up his 5th-year option. Unless they decide to trade him for draft capital, which I don't see happening. San Francisco 49ers, Nick Bosa. Nick Bosa has been one of the best defensive linemen in the league since coming into the 49ers as the 2nd overall pick. And they've just been a juggernaut ever since his arrival, which is surprising because they still haven't won a Super Bowl yet, despite being to 2 in the last 5 years. Arizona Cardinals, Kyler Murray. I think with Kyler Murray, if he is on his game, he is the best player on that Cardinals roster. If he's not, then he's not. If he's not on his game, Budda Baker is the best player on that Cardinals team. But he seems like, for the most part, he should be back to mostly on his game with a legitimate wide receiver 1 in Marvin Harrison Jr. now in the fold. Los Angeles Rams, Cooper Kupp. This one got harder this offseason, especially with Aaron Donald now leaving, as there are so many players you could pick, like Puka Nacua, Kyron Williams, Matthew Stafford, and I personally think that Cooper Kupp is the best player on that Rams team, but that's just my opinion. Seattle Seahawks, DK Metcalf. I think for the Seahawks, their wide receiver core is the strength of their team, and DK Metcalf is their wide receiver one. There are trade rumors floating around that he could possibly be leaving, but I don't see it. He is the centerpiece of that offense and has been for the last 5-10 years. Dallas Cowboys, Micah Parsons. For the Cowboys, I think for them, Micah Parsons is their best player because that front seven has been one of the best in football ever since his arrival. And he has been a Defensive Player of the Year candidate basically every single year, and he's bound to win it eventually. Philadelphia Eagles, Jalen Hurts. Whatever you want to say about Jalen Hurts, whether he's a game manager, he's not a real starting quarterback, whatever you want to say about him, he's gone to a Super Bowl. He came second in MVP voting in 2022. He's a top 10 quarterback in the league, and that's not a question. Washington Commanders, Terry McLaurin. While I think Jaden Daniels will be the best player on that Washington Commanders team in short time, for now, Terry McLaurin is the best player as he is consistently a top 10 receiver in the NFL, and he's just a fun guy to root for. New York Giants, Dexter Lawrence. Dexter Lawrence is the best player on that New York Giants team because Saquon Barkley is gone now, and Dexter Lawrence has been one of the best inside defensive linemen in the league. And even though they acquired Brian Burns, he is still the highlight of that defensive line. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Mike Evans. Mike Evans has been the most consistent receiver in the league. You talk about Terry McLaurin being consistent. This man has 10 straight 1,000-yard seasons, and it doesn't look like he's even close to slowing down. New Orleans Saints, Chris Olave. Chris Olave has been one of the elite receivers in New Orleans that Michael Thomas was. Just a really, really good receiver. I just wish that the Saints would get him some help. Atlanta Falcons, A.J. Terrell. A.J. Terrell has been one of the more consistent cornerbacks in the league, and you could argue that Jesse Bates is a better player on that Falcons team, but he played one season, and I would not bet on him to retain his Pro Bowl-like form, but I can definitely bet that Terrell would definitely continue to be a Pro Bowl-like corner. Carolina Panthers, Chuba Hubbard. This might come as a surprise to you, considering that Chuba Hubbard has never rushed for 1,000 yards in a single season. But to me, Chuba Hubbard is the best player on that Carolina Panthers team because he's been super consistent. I mean, last year he was really good. This year he's been really good. And he's been consistently the RB1 of that Carolina team. Detroit Lions, Amon-Ra St. Brown. For the Lions, it really comes down to Aiden Hutchinson, Penei Sewell, and Amon-Ra St. Brown. But Amon-Ra St. Brown has had back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons and has made himself in the conversation of elite wide receivers, which is an impressive feat. He's gotten back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons. He's arguably a top 5 receiver, and he's a top 5 paid receiver in the league. All great stuff for a player who hasn't even probably hit his full ceiling yet. Green Bay Packers, Jordan Love. Jordan Love is the best player on that Packers team, despite them having a pretty good defense and a good set of offensive weapons, including Josh Jacobs, Jaden Reed, Christian Watson, Luke Musgrave, and a great defense, including Quay Walker, Devontae Wyatt, Kenny Clark. A lot of great players on that Packers team, but Jordan Love stands above them because of his poise, accuracy, and apart from the divisional round against the 49ers, decision-making. Chicago Bears, DJ Moore. DJ Moore came in last year and immediately showed why he is the number 1 receiver on that Bears team and was the best receiver on the Panthers for so long. He is such a great receiver. He's such an entertaining player to watch. And I genuinely hope that he does not waste away on the Bears. Last but not least, Minnesota Vikings, Justin Jefferson. This is pretty obvious. Justin Jefferson, when healthy, is the best receiver in the game, and there's no competition. not even from all of the other receivers that we've mentioned on this list. But who do you think is the best player on every single NFL team? Let me know down in the comments. And with that, peace!